So who knows stepped in the game? Um, I'm gonna go ahead and delve right into this. I want you guys to see this because it's kind of hilarious, but we'll get into it. So at the beginning here, right? You got your good old friend here, El Bori, talking about now you guys understand. Let me go ahead and move it back here because I gotta go all the way back to the beginning of this entire thread, which is absolutely bananas, but you guys will see from the beginning here what's happening. There's so much that I have to go back and click and scroll up or whatever. This is several days worth of stuff here. And now I keep on clicking until we get back to the original thread here. And you'll see here. So this all started from him making this post here that says, now you guys understand when I say that there is no argument when it comes to Naughty Dog being the best developers. This man and his silly argument proved my point, right? Or proved my point because it's Twitter and good luck with all that, right? So because Naughty Dog are just game developers, I reply and I says, Google has a better group of developers than Naughty Dog. Even Naughty Dog will admit this. Stop. For obvious reasons, right? Google has a plethora of developers, not only doing games here or there, whatever type of games they develop, they also develop SDKs, they develop firmware for CPUs, they develop all types of microcode for edge servers and cloud storage and things of that effect. They basically create their own tools for everything that they do. To the point where they create their own personal OSs for their own fixed function hardware that controls things such as their uh their their custom coolers and whatnot that work for all the CPUs and stuff they have in their data centers. So their own ICS systems, they create their own software for that. This is how low level Google is. This is how much potential they have as developers. Their developer pool dwarfs any game company known to man. So I put the obvious out that Google has a group of developers better than Naughty Dog, right? And of course, this guy's fans, whatnot, come back and they start just assuming everything's about games, right? At this point, and he starts saying Google doesn't have any developers. I mentioned that somebody doesn't know what developer means, and they have their own worldwide conference once a year, and Naughty Dog doesn't, right? So clearly, they aren't the facet of developers or the worldwide group of developers that any Sony pony would want them to be, because they aren't. They're just a developer that makes games. They use tools that other people make for the hardware that they decide to develop on, which will be the PlayStation 4 at this point in time, or the PlayStation 3 before it, right? And Google, Apple, and a whole bunch of other different people created the platform or the development environment that Naughty Dog used to make their games at one point. So, having said that and put that out there, obviously they want to ask 50 million questions and try to figure out what's going on from there, and try to say, hey, well, they start talking about Stadia and whatnot. Then they say I'm a Stadia fanboy, and I'm like, this thing just got announced. I don't know any of the games they're going to have exclusive to the Stadia, and I don't really care at this point, right? But because I mentioned something positive about Google in comparison to Sony, now we start seeing stupid statements like this. Do we have a Stadia fanboy here already? And all you have to do is read my profile, and that's obviously not the case, right? So this shit gets stupid. It gets really, really dumb, and it gets to be a really, really deep trove of comments. I guess the best thing for me to do is just go back out and show how deep this goes. So I started talking about him moving the goalposts and whatnot, but that comes from God knows how far back, really. It goes back several days here, so I'll go all the way back to the beginning and see what he's doing here. So I mentioned, let's see, goalposts. Let me go back up to the top here because Firefox wants to be stupid for whatever reason. God bless Windows. So here. So I started talking to him about, like, he's quoting tweets and whatnot to his followers, but he's not talking about shit. So I say, this is your reasoning. It doesn't make sense at all. Daily on Twitter, individual replies go viral even if the OP doesn't. If they want to laugh, they can do so at the original reply without your commentary or instructions. Seems like you have shitty followers. Because if you got to tell them to laugh at stuff, if you got to say, hey, look, guys, look at this, blah, 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 hee, and then they go follow or whatever, then you're not really... You just suck, really, because, like, your followers don't really give a fuck about what you're posting. And if you have to instruct them to go do shit, then you pretty much suck. So I tell him that, and one of his followers replied, but he didn't really reply to it. He just did another retweet, really. And it just gets done from there. So I started going through, and he started getting, like, some of his little buddies come through, and they start replying to him after he tried to compare me to Black Baron for whatever reason. And I told him why his retweet strategy didn't work. Told him he's scared to get on the mic. Go ahead and do this. We can do this hangout or whatever, or he could be on this ShadowCast we're talking about right now to do what he do. So and I see y'all on the comments or whatever, right? And I know what this is. Twitter is what it's gonna be, man. But all these people that are in these comments right now, all these people that are on Twitter right now, if I ask any one of them to get on the mic, they're gonna fucking be chicken shits and say, no, I don't want to do it. And half of the time when you hear them on the mic, you'll hear, like, one of the podcasts I did way back when, I guess with Player Essence or whatever, and Tony, I think his name was, you heard how he sounded when I started talking to him. He's like, oh, well, I don't really know anything. I'm just kind of, this is just my opinion and this is how I feel. But you're a stone cold fucking killer on this Twitter right here, right? So I'm like, hey, get on the fucking mic. We can go ahead and talk about it if that's what it is or whatever. He says he think he's doing a pretty good job on Twitter. Nah, bruh. You ain't doing shit. All you doing is saying, hey, he retweet or whatever, and then hope his buddies will reply to him, and they start coming up with stupid shit. They start coming up with other comments or whatever. Then we start getting to moving the goalposts. Who cares who made the tools? Because I talk about, hey, they made the tools, so obviously they're smarter than Naughty Dog. Who cares who made the tools? Okay, then don't reply to my comment then if you don't care. Because I'm talking about specifically people that are smarter than Naughty Dog that made the tools. And I said the people that made the tools are better because they did more work and know more about the hardware than Naughty Dog. This means that Naughty Dog are not the best developers out there, contrary to the OP, which is true, right? Then this guy comes out of here, David Jetta. He comes out here and says Naughty Dog built their own tools. Nah, bruh. Nah. So I put it out there quickly and I said, hey, don't get it twisted. The Last of Us used Havoc just like any other game. Try again, right? So here he goes. He's going to try damage control. Okay, so he was wrong by a little bit. So were you. Let's all move along. Nah, bruh. I said he's off, period. Naughty Dog used tools from Havoc, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and several others. They aren't the best developers overall. They only make games, and them being the best developers is highly debatable because even them, making the best games, you could clearly say, Microsoft made the best games, you could say Sega made the best games, you could say Nintendo made the best games if they're more fun to you. You can't really say wholeheartedly that Naughty Dog is the best developers out there if A, they don't know their code and their source hardware the way that the people that made their tools do, and B, their games and the quality of their games is debatable because it's going to be subjective by default anyway. So there's no way for you to really even make that claim that Wagos was making or whatever. And we still got this guy that's over here just trying to bat for him 100%. He said we were both wrong. Now we're doing the whole both sides shit, right? And both sides means nothing. It's basically you placating to yourself saying, okay, I admit that I fucked up, but let me also try to diminish what the hell you're saying by saying we're both wrong. No, I'm not wrong at all, because what I said from the beginning was Google is a better developer than Naughty Dog, period. Point blank. They get more accolades. They do more things than Naughty Dog does. They're better developers. Period. I'm not wrong on this, right? So then he started saying they use their own internal engines and whatnot and stuff like that. And then he started talking about engines, and I'm like, bruh. And he tried to say I was wrong about that, talking about engines. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about here. I said, quote, right? Then he said they made their own engine. You thought it was someone else. And then he shows a quote here, and I'm not talking about engine at all over here. I'm talking about tools. It ain't got nothing to do with fucking engines. I said, looking for that quote talking about engines. Still looking for the quote that says they never made one. Perhaps somebody misinterpreted some shit here, right? Because clearly he's just fucking jumping the gun from one thing to another. He's associating tools with engines and assuming they're the same thing. I clearly specified tools. I never mentioned engines. Then he starts to create the argument all over again. I'm a hypocrite because I called out Wagos for not being specific, and now I'm being vague. No, I specifically said tools. I mentioned nothing about engines. I'm being very specific here. So how the hell you gonna say I'm being vague? I'm not being vague. And here clearly I said, except I've been very specific on what you've been talking about from the beginning. I never mentioned engines. You did. I only mentioned tools intentionally and specifically. You grossly misquoted me and attempted to wedge a point with it, and you're absolutely wrong here. 100. Straight up, because that's the case. Like, he tried to take my words out of content to create his own fucking damn statement to try to say that we're quote unquote both wrong. The whole both sides argument, right? Didn't work. Then I clearly pointed here, right here, where he fucked up. Then he says, the engine is a tool the developers use. You're still wrong. And then I tell him that engines and tools are not mutually exclusive terms. Engines are just one of many tools used in software development. They aren't even necessary. Compilers, however, which Google and Apple made, are mandatory for any software development. Apple and Google made this compiler for use on the PlayStation 4, which Naughty Dog gleefully used because they didn't write their own, right? And I told him, I said, keep digging. I got plenty of shovels. You ain't doing nothing but fucking up, right? Now we want to move the goalposts and shit. What other development has 3 GLTY winners on 3 different IPs, right? I quickly answer him and say Nintendo. Now we got to start grading shit. Now we got to start moving. Which one? I give him a list full of shit that was considered GLTY from Nintendo. I didn't list everything, just some shit recently, right? Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Wii Sports, Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, Metroid Prime, and Mario Galaxy 2. Just off the top of my head. Not even trying to like get into shit from way back in the day, like NES and shit like that, right? And I said 7 games, 4 different IPs, not counting published games like Tetris and GoldenEye that Nintendo has done, which will make 5 IPs total, right? He's over here, I'm sorry, I'm not taking your word at face value. And off the crazy shit, I said, I can't do that. Like, what? And then he started asking for links for shit. He said for all the games being GOTY. And then David Jetta comes back in again. He started talking about New York Times making it game of the year for Wii Sports or whatever, right? And I'm like, nigga, you don't even know what the fuck you talking about. So I come in and say Gama Sutra gave Wii Sports game of the year for 2006. And I told him, I said, so many broken assumptions. I correct you and you continue moving goalposts talking about what doesn't count. Get the fuck out of here, right? They're moving goalposts clearly over and over again. It started from Google is clearly a better developer than Naughty Dog. Then we started talking about who makes game of the year. Then I started saying Nintendo has shitload more game of the year than Naughty Dog. Then you start trying to qualify what they are. Right? How you gonna ask for a list and then you gonna try to qualify the fucking list? And the list is just a goalpost from being wrong about Google being better than Naughty Dog. And they just keep on going. And so I roll on down and he's talking about some irrelevant site because they trying to talk about, because at this point they thought it wasn't Gama Sutra, right? They try to say New York Times gave Wii Sports Game of the Year. I wasn't even looking at that shit. I was looking at fucking Gama Sutra. Gama Sutra said that Wii Sports was Game of the Year for them, right? And Gama Sutra, believe it or not, is a site based on developers. Like, Gama Sutra was based on how game development works. And if they say a game gets Game of the Year, they have a little bit more credit than IGN, GameSpot, or any other of them motherfuckers. Really, real talk. Because they talk about how games are made. But anyway, so I'm gonna keep on ranting here. And I got a guy come through. He talking about he putting this dude on the ropes and talking about he full of shit. Talking about desperation and reaching out. He called what he saw, right? Like, these motherfuckers making up shit as they go. So he's talking about, how am I moving the goalpost? Show me an example. And then he told him, he said they were moved right around the time the GOTYs were discredited because they all of a sudden weren't from your preferred source. Now they don't count essentially when they would if it was the other way around. I mean, clearly, man, this is where we at right now, right? And so this dude, he clearly over here trying to come up with some other shit. Now he want to say, no, we can do that if you want, but let's compare Sony to Nintendo and not a developer to a publisher developer. And I'm like, I thought this argument was about Naughty Dog. You claim that they were the best out there, right? Well, if they were the best out there, then how come Google fucks up their shit? And if I even compare Nintendo to them, they fuck up their shit. Then when they try to say, hey, well, you know, Nintendo is a whole company and shit like that. That was in another part of this same argument here. And I say, well, you know, all those GOTYs I mentioned from there, they come from Nintendo R&D 1. Then we get into a long conversation about what the fuck Nintendo R&D 1 is. And I'm like, motherfucker, Nintendo R&D 1 became multiple things over time. And once they eventually ended up becoming SPD or whatnot, they had already created all these games during that time. They were moved, merged with other developers and whatnot in the same studio and with the same heads and the same vision over time, over 15 years plus, and they're still making all these fucking games, right? And now I got these motherfuckers over here saying, well, in name, they weren't R&D 1, so it doesn't matter. At this point, what they're trying to do is trying to use me being literal about the Google situation against me. Right? So they're trying to say, well, it wasn't exactly R&D 1, so it doesn't count. It doesn't matter. An internal team inside of Nintendo, just one team, not all of Nintendo, fucking dwarfed everything that Naughty Dog did. So even if you want to say that it wasn't that name specifically, the same concept still applies. So what's the fucking hold up, Chuck? What's your answer at that point? Right? So I'm not gonna be in that shit. I'm not even gonna be about this shit. I don't even know what the fuck the hold up is. And yeah, I'm live. I see you, Grandpa. I see you on here. I see everybody else on here. What's up, y'all? I see what's up. So yeah, I can't even be with this shit, man. And then this dude, I don't ask him multiple times. I say, if you want to hash this shit out, we can get on the podcast, bro. I said, I send you a goddamn invite, man. We can go ahead and do this shit. And all I hear is ducking and other excuses about how you don't want to be on here. Grandpa got on here, asked him some questions too. They went back and forth on his ass. Like, I don't know. He's doing nothing but saying what everybody else see here, right? But unless you're a fanboy or a pony or some shit, you know, you're gonna think that, oh my god, I hope you motherfuckers are blah 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 blah. Y'all acting funny. This dude talking about some Gama Sutra isn't active anymore. Does that take away from the fact that they gave them Game of the Year in 2006? They were active in 2006. Who gives a fuck? Right? Or unless you say that Gama Sutra didn't exist in 2006, your point is invalid. The fuck we on right now, man? That's kind of where I'm at right now. Shout out to the fucking chat. Keep it going. Keep it moving. I got, now I start talking about doing a live debate. Motherfucker scared. If you froggy, fucking jump. He ain't saying shit. Crickets like a motherfucker up in here. Crickets. We got some of his fans up in here talking shit, but whatever. Talking about delete Twitter or whatever. Nah, that ain't happening. If you want to get on here, get your ass on here too. We can talk shit all day. I don't give a fuck. Let's go. This fucking ShadowCast, you know how we do around here, so I'm making it go right now. I'm kind of new to this whole OBS situation because it's a different version of OBS and I'm using Windows. I don't like fucking Windows, but I'm here. So, it is what it is. I only use Windows to play games, guys. So, if you see me fucking like being a little bit back and forth with this shit, it's because I don't really give a fuck, man. I'm just showing this shit for you guys so y'all can see what the fuck I be going through and some of the crazy notifications I be getting on here, not posting shit by Dr. Bazet because, whatever, man. That shit's crazy. And yeah, man, that's where I'm at right now. I'm all up in this shit and y'all can see me right now. Y'all can see my big ass head, man. Nah, that's how I feel right about now. So I just don't understand why, your boy Wales, or I don't really know how to pronounce it or whatever because I'm not Hispanic. So I just don't understand why you coming across that way and being an asshole or whatnot on Twitter. You trying to say Naughty Dog is the best developer out there, man. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I like Uncharted, and I like The Last of Us for completely different reasons than I probably should. Like, it's not like The Last of Us is a really good experience as a game, not so much. Like, I made that game fun by maxing everything the fuck out, like, and going around and getting my max reload and all the other kind of shit. So all my encounters with these fucking spores were not even a challenge at all at some point, right? To me, that was fun, exposing their ass and being able to get through these environments real quick. But that takes almost a full playthrough, and then you do, New Game Plus or whatever, and you run through fucking smoking these motherfuckers. Like, it's not designed the way that a gamer would appreciate in the way, say, like Bayonetta does, where you could run through the game and then you learn how to play it even better, and then when you run through it again, it's even better, and you see more different shit as you go through. The whole point of Last of Us is that story, and you can really only see that one time because it's not a surprise the second time. The same thing for Uncharted, for a matter of speaking, unless you were a fan of the online multiplayer, which I was not. So I just don't really see how you can just say, hey, they are the pinnacle of development when they only make the same type of game. They made 2 franchises and both of those games are exactly, well, I won't say exactly the same, but they're more story driven than they are gameplay driven. Whereas Nintendo starts making their games with fucking checkerboard backgrounds and stick figures and shit. Like, they work out the game part before they even throw a character in there. Half the time they don't even know what character is going to be in the game until they're done fucking around with the main gameplay system. That's a completely different philosophy than a lot of these other motherfuckers out here now that show you trailers and it never becomes a game later on. And that's kind of where I'm at on a lot of that shit right now. And I can't co-sign on somebody saying that a quote unquote Sony exclusive is gonna be some of the best of all time. While I do like a lot of what God of War was doing, I can't help but look clearly at, hey, you guys took this franchise that was clearly action adventure and you threw some fucking Metroid Prime in it. I can't help but see the same the same techniques being used. And then people say, oh, well, this game is so great and the hardware is so great. There are no load times. I'm like, motherfucker, you need to go back to 2002 and look at Metroid Prime and see what they did. Because it's the exact same shit. Cutscene goes into gameplay. The cutscene is hiding the loads. Don't get it twisted. Right? It's just one of those things. I don't know why people are magically blind, because they all of a sudden knew that the loads were there back when Metroid Prime came out. So why are y'all motherfuckers got this revisionist history when God of War comes out now? It's magically, oh, well, the loads they're gone. This ain't PS5, motherfucker. Ain't no SSD built into every PlayStation 4, and you know this shit. You know the Blu-ray drive is slow. You know the hard drive built into every PS4, at least the base model, is slow. It's gonna have load times. They gotta hide them some type of way. I don't know why people were even thinking that's a thing, or that magically that, you know, this developer is so smart or whatever. It's nothing new. This stuff has been done before. So that being said, what I don't understand is you have experiences on PlayStation 4 you can actually gloat about. Like, man, Sega Son and First Light, like that was my shit. Like, I don't know if you just want to be a pony, like go out there and say, look, man, I had a great time playing on PlayStation 4 in 2013, even though there wasn't much else out there other than the third party shit, but this is what I was playing first party and it was great. Like, those are the type of things you should be talking about, but instead you talk about insert third party game here, insert third party game here. Oh my God, Naughty Dog came out with some shit. Let's talk about that. Or let's talk about the HD remake or the HD remaster of the game that they decided to put out. Like, come on, man. Are you Sony or are you Sony? Did you play Medieval? Like, did you get what I'm saying? Like, are you an Ape Escape fan? Do you really like Parappa? Or, like, if you really down with Sony shit, like, start talking about real shit. Stop talking about this other shit, like, insert damn third-party game here with a shitload of grays and guns. Like, no. That isn't how Sony started. Sony started by buying fucking Toshinden. Like, who the fuck would have thought Takara would have ended up having, like, first-party games on a lead platform at launch in 1995? Nobody was thinking that shit was happening. Not Takara. So I just don't get it. I don't get it. We got these fake Sony ponies out here that don't even know the history of the system. I mean, like, and not to like toot my horn or some shit, but you know, I'm old school. My PlayStation, I flipped that motherfucker upside down to play a couple of games. I knew what it was, and I didn't feel like fixing the motor on it until maybe a year ago or so, when I finally decided to buy a new motor and put it in my PlayStation 1. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is. And you got guys out here that didn't start gaming until the PS2 trying to talk shit about Nintendo. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? If it weren't for Nintendo, the PlayStation wouldn't be here. Like, literally, it would not be here. So, you know, man, it is what it is. Gripachi said, you said 30 minutes and that was 40 hours ago. No, I said 30 minutes and it was like at, what, 11-ish or whatever? Yeah, man, I was watching the Braves game and doing some other shit. I'm sorry, man, but you know, I gotta watch them guys do what they do. But I did have some questions that I did want to address that were in that original Twitter thread. So I'll get to those as soon as I can pull them up here in a minute. I know I got some guys that are kind of looking at this. Matter of fact, let me fix this shit because like my face big as fuck on the screen for whatever reason. So I'm gonna go ahead and change that real quick so I'm not making y'all motherfuckers throw up, man. Because I know a lot of y'all like, man, why this guy out here doing all this shit? Y'all see my they have threads and shit over here. So yeah, man. Yeah, we out here, and I'm just trying to read everything that was in this thread so we can go ahead and get the rest of this podcast over with. I did not want to start with the bullshit, but I figured I'd go ahead and start with the bullshit and get that out of the way. But yeah, it was originally about the comments that I had in general, and I know there's probably a lot of shit that happened because I haven't done a ShadowCast since well before E3. So I figure I'll weigh in on some of that stuff and kind of how I feel about that. But you guys, y'all can put y'all little comments in the chat if you want to, whatever. And I can address those, and we'll go from there. But I wanted to look at whatever eventual comments were on Twitter originally, and I think a couple of people might have posted questions on the actual last video that I did, but I'll have to take a look at that. I'm just trying to see exactly what it was, but oh my god, yeah, me retweeting Shokyo and shit. Nah, we good. Let me go to that actual thread, and I'll address the. Since it was so long ago, it's kind of hard for me to keep take on this shit, but I'm trying. So y'all bear with me real quick as I pull this up. Yeah, and I commented on that advertising wasn't an issue back then when they were talking about Wii U. Yeah, man, Wii U was just clearly now with the advent of Switch, Wii U got did wrong, like clearly wrong. It wasn't the hardware. It wasn't the fact that engines weren't there. Motherfuckers just they didn't want to put shit out there. And there's comments and you can find videos out there of people from EA fucking shitting on the system and shit. Like it was just bad. It was just bad. Like they had already deemed this hardware dead before it ever happened. So yeah, so I got so Jay Fleming posted his question first. He's talking about remakes and remaster. He said, "What do you think if games like FF7 remake and Link's Awakening remake do well? Should gamers look forward to more games being done in this fashion?" So that's a tough one because those remakes are going to be seen based on. I think Link's Awakening is going to be more of, hey, motherfuckers ain't played this game because the original game was only on like Game Boy and GBA, and that was so long ago. So it's a really good opportunity for them to recapture a new audience. Final Fantasy VII is in the same boat because we're talking the 90s here, and this was the game that supposedly fortified the PlayStation in the fifth generation. So if we're gonna talk about doing more games, doing remakes or whatever, they're gonna have to be older games. I don't think it'll be worthwhile to go back and say, "Hey, let's do a remake of Beyond Good and Evil." Like motherfuckers didn't buy that shit the first time, so if you do another one, I don't really think you'll gain too much interest with that. Like they're trying to do Beyond Good and Evil 2. We'll see how that goes. I like the way the engine worked, the way it demoed. That was really impressive. The whole space to ground type situation. But yeah, I like just saying, hey, we got a remake of this game coming out. I don't know how that ends up making a lot of money for the right individuals. Now, like I said, time will dictate. Like obviously, Halo Master Chief Collection does well because it's the original Halo and it's the entire collection of whatever games, 1 through 3, or what have you, right? So it's going to depend on what type of franchise it is, how popular that franchise is or was, and how long it's been since then. If you're talking, 2001 or 2002 or something to that effect, it makes sense. But if you're talking about, any time after that, and it didn't, and not only it was some time after that, it also didn't garner that much attention back then, it's gonna be kind of hard to do those type of games. So like Brute Force, like I don't know if anybody remembers that. I actually love that game on the original Xbox. Rebooting that motherfucker right now would probably have that game selling worse than it originally did on the OG Xbox. So I don't know how. It'll depend on the franchise, and obviously something big like Final Fantasy VII or any type of Zelda title is going to do well enough for them. But any older franchise or any franchise that doesn't have that much of a following, it might not be a go. So, now move on here. I should have brought my fucking beer in here. Um, okay, Mark Bryant wanted to hop on, but I do not have Discord enabled right now. I probably need to get that shit working right now, but I haven't. And it's late night, and I just don't really give a fuck right now, so it's just me right now. But any other time, like you're on, man, I'll go ahead and link hangouts on here, and I'll throw you on here. And I knew that for the most part, this late at night, nobody was really gonna be willing to hop on. And I got Skates Finest on here, fan of the show, and the juice is loose and whatnot. Said I can make the decision. I don't buy games much as other people, and I'm really jonesing to buy and play Octopath right now. But I'm super hyped for Astral Chain. Should I buy Octopath now and wait on Astral, or wait on Octo and get Astral day one? Man, you talking about pure hell right now. That's a horrible decision to have. Um, like Astral Chain, man, that's a day one buy, man. That game, the combat alone looks wonderful. Um, but like, how do you fucking sleep on Octopath Traveler though? Like, you gotta go through that, play with all 8 characters, find the true ending after you get all 8 characters endings, and experience that shit, man. Cause that's something to experience. Um, but that's a tough choice if you haven't done it already. Like, it doesn't matter about money at this point. It's going to be how much time you have. Like, do you set aside 40 hours to play Astral Chain day one, or do you set aside 40, almost 80 hours to do everything in Octopath Traveler? Like, I don't. That's a tough conundrum there. Um, I would say it depends on your preference. If you prefer RPGs more, especially with shitload of drama, then Octopath is your go. If you prefer more games like Bayonetta-ish, then Astral Chain is gonna be your that's gonna be your thing. So I guess it'll depend on whatever your preferences are and what you have fun with the most. If you're fucked up and you have fun in both genres like I do, then you're gonna be twisted. The good thing about me is I've already gone through Octopath, so I don't. The only thing I have is, hey, I gotta play Astral Chain day one. So, if it were me and knowing what I know about Octopath, even not having played it, knowing that what type of game it was, and who it was by, and then having to play Astral Chain as well, and I gotta choose between the two, like it would be tough for me because I love both RPGs and action adventure games the same way. The only genre I favor more than any other is going to be fighting games, and it's got to be specific type of fighting games for me to choose over these guys. The rest I kind of love the same, so I kind of don't really have an answer for you, other than you might. I would say Astral Chain now, and the only reason why I say that is that just looks like a game you gotta play. And you got to experience that. And as soon as you're done with that, you can always go back to Octopath. You haven't played it yet, so you can go back to it after you're done with Astral Chain. But I feel like Astral Chain that's got to be day one. You got to run through it, experience that, and then once you're done mastering that game, go back to Octopath and then learn how to master that. That's kind of where I'm at on that. So I don't know if I have any other questions here, unless I do in the chat here. We'll go from there. But he's Digital Age Gaming here was talking about. I think it's Mark Bryant. He was saying that it was one of the topics he wanted to talk to me about, but a couple of channels are already talking about it. I wonder if that's the different variations of Switch there is. So my issue with the Switch Pro and Switch Mini is we got people out here, and I'm not gonna call them out their name like I want to, but you got people out here that are like literally grasping at straws. They're like, well, I found this link, so that means that the Switch Pro is coming. I found this link, and it means that the Switch 2 is coming. I found this link, and it means that the Switch Mini is coming. Like I looked at a video from Super Metal Dave, and he was talking about the Switch 2 coming, and looked at the site where the supposed the gel skin for the Switch 2 or Switch Mini is supposed to happen. And so I go to the site too, and I'm like, let me pull up the HTML for this page. And I go and I look, and I'm like, well, the image he's talking about, the image is named, and I started looking at all the HTML for the entire site. Nothing mentions Switch 2 at all. It mentions Switch Mini. No Switch Pro, no Switch 2, just Switch Mini. Where the fuck did you get the idea that a Switch 2 or Switch Pro was coming? Your fucking head. That's it. That's it. There's nothing else talking about it. Now you start talking about the Wall Street Journal and Nikkei. Know that Nikkei is a financial site. Know that Wall Street Journal is a financial site. They know nothing about video games. Wall Street Journal has one correspondent in Japan that hears hearsay here and there. And a lot of his stuff is skeptical at best. He's yet to, Takahashi, I think is his name, he's yet to concretely come up with a solid leak as of yet. Especially with regards to Nintendo. There hasn't been anything he's come up with. Who has come up with a solid leak? Semi-Accurate did in 2016. And that was the original Foxconn leak. In that original Foxconn leak was a 4GB Switch and an 8GB Switch, which is the developer model, which if you look for InDev or any of those different versions of the Switch or whatever, it is the 8GB version that quote unquote is the Pro that people are still talking about being a different SKU. That's a different SKU that Nintendo has internally, and they use it to send to developers. So the funny shit is that we keep hearing these rumors over and over again from that dev kit as far back as late 2016, all of 2017, all of 2018. The shit never materialized because it was already there. It was a fucking development kit. And for some reason, this one individual can't get it out of his head that that's what it was. So, while there's a possibility that a Switch Pro could be in development and Nintendo is working on something to say, hey, you know what, we need something in between to satisfy this 9th generation gap in between now and 10th generation before, Sony and Microsoft finally join 9th generation. We should have something in between, right? That's possible. Should they do that with the current Tegra SoC that's currently available? Will Pascal do that for them? No. Pascal isn't going to magically give you 4K graphics. It's not happening. And even if they use Volta graphics going forward by shrinking the current SoC to 7 nanometers and somehow shoehorning a Volta GPU on that SoC as well to give it better graphics performance, that still won't do it either. It's not going to be able to do that. You're not going to get this magical 4K performance out of a device that's designed to work within 11 watts. It's just not going to happen. So I don't know why we have this magical feast or this drooling for this better performing hardware with regards to Switch, because there's no point in doing it because it's not going to match what the competition is doing. And Nintendo doesn't give a fuck about what the competition is doing. They're too busy making money without competing with them directly. Just like they were doing with Wii before that. So I just don't get it. I don't know why they were going with that at all. Like, why is that a thing where you have to hang your entire channel on rumors for this fucking vaporware that you're chasing repeatedly, and you continually talk about it over and over again as if it's coming next week. Next week has been happening for the past 2 years. You didn't get that shit right then. You're not going to get it right now. And then Nintendo went on record to say, look, we're already working on 10th generation hardware. Doesn't look good for you, bruh. Doesn't look good for you. I don't know what else to take at this point. So, I gotta. I think he's more burnt because he originally thought that the Switch was going to use some type of custom ATI hardware, and it never materialized. Like Nintendo ended their deal with ATI with the Wii U, and somehow that kind of burnt. I think that burnt Super Metal Dave, and like he hasn't been the same since. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. He can have that reaction if he wants, and obviously it's lucrative for him because every time he posts a fucking Switch Pro video, it does thousands of views within a day. So it's obviously working for him. So that's gonna be his gimmick, and he's gonna stick to it. So can't really fault him for it, but I just feel that it's extremely disingenuous to his fan base, as well as in general. Like you're spreading misinformation for profit, and I think that's pretty fucked up. But anyways, so yeah, some of the other things that I've been seeing, I guess I'm kind of out of questions here in the chat and on the original thread here, unless somebody posted one in the follow up thread. I don't think I remember anybody posting anything in the follow up thread. I can kind of scroll up and see if it was there, but I'm not really seeing it right now. I was trying to see if anybody posted anything in that follow up thread. I know I posted like 2 or 3 threads talking about this podcast was happening. And I appreciate you guys for sticking through with me. I had all kind of stuff going on. I had to update 2 or 3 Macs in my office, and they had to migrate data and whatnot. So it took a little bit of a day or so to make sure all that shit came through clean. But no, just my whole point in that thread with Wagos was Google knows more than Naughty Dog, which is factual. Compilers are not engines, which is factual. Nintendo has more GOTY IPs than Naughty Dog, which is factual. And I mean, I don't know what else to tell him, man. Like, he kept moving goalposts the entire time, and I'm like, I will answer your goalposts, but know that they are goalposts and you're still wrong on the original topic. And I'm answering your goalposts and making you wrong on your goalposts. So how desperate are you, really? That's kind of where I'm at right now. So, I mean, it is what it is. You guys let me know if my audio's good, because I know I'm kind of away from the mic right now. So if I'm kind of low, let me know. Go Braves, chop the fuck on. Like, they are molly whopping everybody right now, even without their best players. They sat their best players today and still won 1-0. So that's good shit. Lot of hating on Wii U, man. Like, I keep hearing, there's different excuses when what was it? When the Dynasty Warriors games came out, the Hyrule Warriors came out, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze came out, Bayonetta came out, and now Super Mario Maker came out for Switch, and people were like, well, what is your purpose for playing Wii U? And I'm like, all the fucking exclusive games for Wii U. Like, don't get it twisted. Wii U still got a lot of shit that's not on Switch. I mean, number one would be Virtual Console. I mean, clearly, obviously. Any Wii games that you could stick in there and just play, those automatically are not playable on Switch for obvious reasons. It doesn't have a fucking disk drive. And it's not backwards compatible. Then you got these little gems. You got Xenoblade Chronicles X, Wonderful 101, Metro Prime Trilogy, which was on Wii, but it was also put on eShop for Wii U. Star Fox Zero, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Crunchyroll, Netflix, Mario 3D World, Arkham City Armored, Razor's Edge. And this guy in Razor's Edge is really good to me. All kinds of eShop games that are exclusive to Wii U or exclusive to Wii and Wii U or 3DS. And, I mean, that's just all the reasons to still play the console that you fucking own, man. Like, my Wii U sitting here right now waiting to go into my loft when I'm done with the gaming loft project. Y'all will see the video for that and everything coming soon. I put a teaser out not too long ago, but it's really coming together now, and I just got a couple more furniture items put in. All the wiring and stuff is done, so I'll have all my old consoles and all my new consoles in the same place, and I'll be able to record videos there and do whatever kind of shit or whatever, or live stream. or whatever it should be or whatever. Like I'm really trying to figure out why my damn chat box is not showing up in this little thing here. Like it's showing up at the bottom, but it's not scrolling all the way to the top like it should. And I changed the settings, but whatever. And then we got middleman over here calling Wii U trash. Oh man, look, I can't do that. And then so my Brian mentioned Zombie U. Man, Zombie U, man. Zombie U is that's a business. Like you looking down, you working on shit, and you look up and there's a zombie in your fucking face, man. That cannot be recreated on Switch. It just cannot. It cannot. It cannot. And I'm spoiled in Xenoblade Chronicles X because you're doing management on one screen and then you got gameplay on the other screen. Like you can't that can't be replicated on Switch either. And you going back and forth doing both screens, you already have that experience if you play off TV play on Wii U. And off TV play on Wii U, it is not the same. It is not. Like you go to that small screen and then you try to switch between the small screen that you're seeing for gameplay or combat or whatever to go back to do things like deal with the minerals or whatnot on the gamepad. It's not the same. Going back and forth is just horrible. They did a real good job reinventing how it worked on Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2 on Switch. Hitting that good old X button to flip around and do what you need to do. That was really good. But it took a complete rewrite of the game for that to work. So for that to happen for Xenoblade Chronicles X or some of these other games like Starfire Zero or what have you, like that's gonna take a lot of work. And at that point, you're talking developing a brand new game. So it's either that or figure out a way to where you can play the game with two switches, I guess. Like have one act as a gamepad and the other one act as displaying the game. And I think that's a little too expensive for most people. So, yeah. So all that Wii U trash talk, man. Metal Men, I hear you out here, but no Wii U trash talk, man. The game, that console was woefully underappreciated. It did what it needed to do. Like y'all, the owners of the Wii U, I would imagine a couple of you in my chat right now, y'all were owners of Wii U, and that was hard times for y'all because y'all had to deal with everybody talking trash, and for the most part, a lot of them were right for a lot of things they were saying, but a lot of that trash talk went away when Switch was popular, and a lot of the shit that they were talking about Wii U is still true for Switch. Like in some cases, worse. Like Switch, there's no external storage other than an SD card. You can't just plug up some USB to that shit. Like Wii U was more expandable than Xbox One and PS4 in most cases. Like PS4 and Xbox One had to send you updates so they could match shit that was happening on Wii U. Like I don't understand why. Like people shitting on that console so much, man. It was the first console to do screenshots. It was the first console to directly integrate with YouTube, like to send like YouTube or I guess Mario Kart freaking replays to YouTube directly to YouTube, not some fucking integrated shit where you got to deal with the Xbox Studio and then save that video, upload it to fucking OneDrive, and then try to send it to YouTube that way. That was a fucking nightmare on Xbox One. Now you can magically directly upload to YouTube on those consoles when you couldn't before. Like Nintendo did that shit first. Let's not get it twisted. It was all, obviously in individual games. It wasn't on the console itself, but individual efforts that Nintendo was making on Wii U was pioneering shit. Like people weren't doing what they were doing, and then magically you start seeing them do it. I mean, some stuff was in the firmware, like having channels for individual games on Miiverse. Then you start seeing fucking Xbox One have channels for games, and the same thing for PlayStation. Like they were going around and trying to figure out what the fuck Miiverse was doing. Like, why is this shit so critical? Why are people doing this? Why are people going on Miiverse and talking directly to developers? Let's try to do the same thing too, and go from there, and then copy, like other stuff Nintendo was doing, like Nintendo Directs. We clearly see everybody try to do Nintendo Directs now. And back then in 2013, people were giving Nintendo shit and saying they didn't have anything and they were quitting. And, lo and behold, now we got EA missing, we got Sony missing, and now that's smart. Okay. That's cool. Just have your revisionist history on hand when motherfuckers call you on your shit. So that's just kind of where I'm at on that. But, it is what it is. So what has happened between now and the last ShadowCast? Well, We had we had a lot of Switch haters get exposed. Um, we had Hellblade and Witcher 3 get announced for Switch. These are games that supposedly, according to certain people that now follow me, well, ironically, um, they swore these games were not possible, could not run on Switch. Keyword run. Like, Switch is not a PC. But anyway, that's another story. Could not run on Switch. And lo and behold, these games are here. And now motherfuckers got to come up. They got to change the goalposts and say, oh, well, what version will it be on Switch? Or how will it run on Switch? Motherfucker, it don't matter. You said the shit wasn't going to be possible at all. Eat your fucking crow and keep it moving. You said it wasn't going to be there. The shit's there. Like, it's there. It's announced. It's officially coming. Like, Doom and all that shit. These are games you said weren't going to come. Wolfenstein, you said it wasn't going to come. It's there. It's there. Eat that crow and keep it moving, man. Like, I what else you want me to tell you? So, it's just tough, man. It was tough. And it's funny watching all this shit happen. Because the usual players will say what they will say. And they always have a backup plan. They have a goalpost to move to. The moment they say some shit that's flawed and they get called on it. They say, oh, well, Switch is weak. It can't run so-and-so. Well, it looks like it's running and it's over here. Oh, well, it's not going to run the same way as the PS4 does. Motherfucker, are you going to admit the fact that you said the shit wasn't going to run at all? Well, that's where we at right now? You're not going to say that? That's where we at right now. Okay, that's great. And we can go all down the technical line where I start talking about frame rate and the frame buffer being available for all these type of games and whatnot. And how Switch obviously has more advanced hardware than both Xbox One and PlayStation 4 right now. So it shouldn't even be an issue. Like, you shouldn't be talking about this shit. And the majority of these games are CPU bound anyway, in which Switch has a better CPU per clock. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, at 1 gigahertz, it does what the PS4 does at 2 gigahertz. So, a CPU-bound game is going to be able to run on Switch. If it's a GPU-bound game, then maybe we can kind of talk and start talking about concessions. But, nah. Short of the thermal limits of the Switch, there's nothing that can stop a game from being there and available. So, yeah, I know who said they bet their life that Witcher 3 wouldn't be on Switch. That motherfucker there, man. But he come up with different excuses every time anyway. He's just a troll. So, I'm pretty sure Dr. Trey he over here praying for this dude. Like, please don't send me a suicide letter. Because Witcher 3 coming to Switch. But, it is what it is, man. Winter Horizon, he will be who the fuck he is, man. That motherfucker, he's a loser all day. He won't ever come on any of these ShadowCasts because he don't want none. And he just gonna continue talking shit on Twitter. It is what it is. I had another. It's funny because I get the same 3 dislikes for all my videos. If y'all go back and look at the last couple of ITV videos I did, I get exactly 3 dislikes from the same 3 fucking accounts. And we know who these motherfuckers are, man. One of them I exposed a long time ago, and he don't want none. Him and his A+ certification. But yeah, man, I just can't. Like, that's what ended up happening for the last couple months, and then leading up to E3 and whatnot. Nintendo obviously came through, and they had they did what they did and whatnot, and they came through. Actually, Microsoft I thought had a pretty decent conference, because they were just like game, here we go or whatever, right? But then Nintendo came through, and that just kind of changed everything, because they're just like, look, motherfucker, we're going to play on all your feelings, and this is everything you want. Done. We out. And that was kind of it. But I was more my game of E3, or my hidden game of E3, was these motherfuckers announcing Phantasy Star Online 2 coming to the West. So obviously I'm thinking it's at least gonna be on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. That's all I need. I just need a platform to play it on here, while I don't have to download language packs and shit on PC to play it. So I'm good on that. If it comes to Switch, great. That works for me, but it doesn't have to. I just need it on something. Just something that I don't have to download language packs for, and I'm good. So that was really good for me because I've been drooling for this game for years now, and it's finally on its way over here. So that worked well for me. Panzer Dragoon, the remake for Switch, that looked like it still needed a little bit of help, but it's good to see that those type of games are coming. I was a fan of that game and also Orta, obviously on Saturn and the OG Xbox respectively. So I'm down for looking at that remake or whatever and being able to play that on the go. So that's good. But yeah, man, E3 was, I hate to say it, but it was all Nintendo and the rest was kind of ho hum for the most part because obviously Square, EA, well EA wasn't even a factor, and the rest of these publishers they're phoning it in, man. But I don't know what the fuck that was all about. Like you didn't even show games that y'all showed last year. Like the fuck was that about? So it's it was just a weird situation. Now I figured I'd go ahead and talk about all of it at this point since it's been so long and it's so early in the fucking morning EST. Um, Apologies to all you guys, with the exception of the few Brits that are on right now. I'm pretty sure it's not as late for you guys as it normally is. It's probably just early in the morning for y'all. But I forget the fucking time zone difference. I think you're actually ahead like several hours, 8 hours plus or whatever. Maybe five, I'm thinking, depending on where you are. But yeah, E3 was kind of weird. Uh, but I expected Nintendo to do what they did because they needed to continue the momentum for their hardware. They're trying to sell more, so that's why I figured early morning. He said almost 9:30 a.m. for him. So yeah, over there in the British area or the European area, it is early morning for you guys. But yeah, I figured I'd give my little chat and my little opinions on the matter. And I haven't really talked at all about the rumors for Switch Pro and Switch Mini until Mandy Lee Plays did a video, and I obviously talked about that and did a debate with her on Player Essence for a little bit. Talked about that. If y'all haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. For whatever reason, I can't find the link for it anymore. I don't know where it is. I know he posted it on YouTube, but then it kind of went away. I can't find it anymore. So if you guys have the link for that, shoot it to me on whatever social media y'all can, and then I'll go and look at that for educational purposes. Um, but yeah, so the Switch Mini, if you will, since that's the most likely thing that we'll see. Uh, the Switch Mini is very likely, and it will more than likely be a retread of what we already see right now. It'll probably go from 100 millimeter square to 50 millimeter square, from the dot shrink or whatnot of Maxwell, and then that way we'll be able to see the Switch end up doing something like being a Switch with no fan, or a Switch with better battery life, that type of situation, that type of Switch menu. However they want to do the configuration for the D-pad or controller or what have you. I don't really give a fuck about any of that. I just want to know whether or not it's going to still be a Switch and it's going to be able to play all the current games. And for all intents and purposes, if they die shrink it, it'll be the exact same hardware with just less power requirements. So that's all well and good, just like any other revision of the DS or 3DS or what have you, where you have basically the same specifications, just different features are taken in or out, so Nintendo can make more money, which makes all the sense in the world. Switch Pro is going to be something that is weird if it is going to happen. If it is going to happen, we're talking, and I don't even think at this point for it to be profitable for Nintendo, it won't be Pascal. It'll be an overclock Maxwell. So we're talking literally taking the console that we have right now and bringing it up to well over 1 gigahertz on the GPU side, so you can get better performance with regards to floating point performance on the GPU side. So those 256 CUDA cores can do more work, and you get more flops out of it. And on the CPU side, I don't really think it's needed, but crank that to like 2 gigahertz and whatnot. With the new, if you're able to die shrink that same core that you would put inside the Switch Mini, die shrink that motherfucker, and then increase the size so you're able to increase the clock frequency on it. Or they could do something even crazy and take Maxwell and add more CUDA cores to it. You could do that if the die is significantly smaller, with the Switch Mini being smaller. So you can take the Switch Mini, add more CUDA cores to it, and then you can resell that to people. That could be your quote unquote Switch Pro. I'm still really skeptical of Switch Pro because how do you make that profitable as Nintendo hardware going forward? So that's just gonna be my issue there. So thank you. You're talking about the way I did that video. Yeah, and the whole thing is that Mandy isn't a negative person. She's just a fan of Nintendo. She has her own channel. There were just some things I was just not gelling with the opinion piece that she made regarding the Switch Mini. I just felt I needed to address those, so I addressed those in the way that I did. There was no name calling or any of that type of stuff like I normally do at the beginning of these ShadowCasts, like I did with Wago's fucking punk ass. But it is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna say that type of shit about somebody that's obviously here for a good reason. They're just trying to show what they like and present that to other people. Like, hey, this is my channel. This is what I do. This is what I like to do. There's no real negative connotation to it. So I'm there more to promote her channel more so than to fucking dig at her. Like, I'll say what I need to say. Like, look, I feel that I need to clear air about this, and this is how I feel about it. I feel that this is wrong, and this is right, and this is wrong, or whatever. But at the same point in time, like, this isn't a bad person. So, check her shit out or what have you. That's kind of where I am with, like, if I had a video that say I didn't like something that Dr. Trey said, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, look, man, fuck this motherfucker, he fucking up, blah 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 blah, whatever. I'm gonna say, look, I think this is wrong, right? These are the reasons why I think this is wrong. Go check out his fucking channel. Like, I don't know why other people feel the need to where they have to, like, say, hey, look, you know what? Because I disagree with you, we're now enemies. I got a guy right now. We came up together in Gamers at Large right now, and I have nothing but bad things in my feed simply because we disagree about the way Nintendo is doing online. That's not a good look, bro. It's not a good look. Not a good look. I don't. And it's not like I'm just going to sit here and defend everything that they do, but I do understand that they make business decisions, and making an online infrastructure is not easy shit at all. The way that people tend to say, hey, you know what? This feature over here already happened. So, hey, it's way easier, obviously, now since time has passed. So, fucking give it to me, or it means your online is shit. And I'm just thinking about how much money it would take to pay Amazon today just to stay online and pay for the data that they're hosting. And you're talking worldwide in multiple countries. And you're going to shit on them because they didn't keep things the same back when it was significantly cheaper and they gave it to you for free. Like, no. Yeah, I get it. You want your check boxes because Xbox 360 and PS4, PS3, whatever, they had them back in 2013 and 2006 back when it was significantly cheaper, but it's 2019 now. All you have to do is go Google, just do a cursory glance of how much it costs just to store data on Amazon Web Services right now. It is not cheap per node. It is not. So, obviously, Nintendo has to charge you for the service that they have right now. If not just for the storage, not for the monthly hosting, not for the infrastructure, not for all the money they have to pay to protect all this shit. just the storage alone is enough for them to charge you. So, I mean, it is what it is. I see I see both sides of it. I understand. Like, you could just say, well, this system came out and shit was free on the Wii and the Wii U and on the 3DS. So why do I have to pay? Because as a customer, I understand that, and I feel that pain. But as an information technology professional, I also understand that, hey, that shit costs a lot of money for them to make. Like, they spend a lot of money working with GameSpy and Amazon Web Services back in 2006, 2013 or whatever for Wii and Wii U and whatnot, and giving you that shit for free, hoping that buying a $50 game will help pay for it. And turns out it probably didn't at the end of the day. Nintendo probably held an L on that. But you think that I guess the whole thing is, well, it happened before, so now I'm going to be the person that it has to happen because I want it, and therefore I'm just going to be the person that just says, you know what, I should be granted this. This is what I deserve as a customer. And that's fine. You can feel that way. That's fine. I just can't really co-sign on you doing shit like, hey, let's share this account because I still want to play these games online, but I don't want to pay for it. Like, but you're still paying for it. No matter who you fuck with to get online with it, you're paying to play it online, and you're gonna talk to other people, and other people are gonna see you're playing online, and then they're gonna pay to play online too. So all you're doing is help spread the word about the for-profit online platform that they have. So there's really no point in you trying to skirt it. Go figure. I really need that fucking beer right now. Anyway, so yeah, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why we start hawking down the line where we start talking about what internet services need to be there, and then the main people saying this, they really have no idea how any of these services are developed. And when I start going down the line, I start talking about different services and how they happen and whatnot, and they just say, oh, well, you're just being too nerdy about it, or I didn't mean it that way. I just mean that as a consumer, I need blah, 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 blah. Well, as a consumer, you have to understand what the fuck they're trying to sell you. And you have to understand how it's being sold to you. And it's not something that's exactly easy. Like I said in my response to Shokyo, he's like, I could build a VoIP server right now. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck getting to connect 20 plus people on your humbug PC. And you're comparing that to a worldwide global effort across multiple territories. And you have the need to complain about how they enact their VoIP service, and then say it's easier for you to do because you could Google how to make a VoIP server for 2 or 3 people? Not the same, my guy. Not the fucking same. This is an enterprise solution we're talking about. We're talking millions of customers per day. Joker shut down Switch servers at midnight just because it was available. And you're going to sit here and tell me that a VoIP server across all those territories is easy for you to make as a user? The fuck out of here, man. Yes, I don't care how many subscribers you have. That notion is bullshit. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I know this. I've done this. I've seen these projects deployed. It's not as simple as you think. In no way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I'm about done ranting. So, I just had a couple more things that I had jotted down here, and I wanted to kind of talk about real quick here. Yeah, keep it going in the chat. and I'll try to address you guys as I can. But I guess one of the other things I thought was kind of funny, and I wrote this down in my notes. I was probably gonna make a video about this, but it's funny how now Digital Foundry is backtracking and backpedaling because now they're trying to tell you how all teraflops are not the same. That's some funny shit. And the reason why they're telling you this is because the new AMD GPUs right now, they are pretty much the same amount of teraflops as the previous generation was. The old Vega generation, the newer Navi GPUs will give you the same 6 to 14 teraflops. And so you're thinking on paper, shit, what the fuck? Why am I paying an extra $100 for this next generation of GPU that gives me the same floating point performance, right? So it's funny that in one of the Digital Foundry videos they try to tell you that, well, all teraflops are not the same. So we have to, because that's gonna sell that card differently, and we don't want people to think that these GPUs are the same or weaker. So let's just say the 14 teraflops on this GPU are better than the 14 teraflops on this GPU. And I'm like, motherfucker, I've been saying that shit about since Wii U back in the day. Like all G-flops are not the same. All floating point operations are not the same. Especially if you have other shit in the system that does other work. So if you're using a shitload of shaders to do your transforms, to do all your TNL, to do all your different types of multi-texturing and stuff like that, and you got fixed function hardware in another platform that does that shit for free, are all teraflops the same? Or does that other platform have those quote-unquote teraflops in addition to other stuff that's already built into the system? And nobody wanted to accept that shit when I was saying it back then. Nobody wanted to accept it when I was talking about it for Switch, when they're supposed quote-unquote 500 gigaflops or whatever on the Tegra GPU, even though it's customized by Nintendo or what have you. Nobody wanted to mention any of that shit. They just want to say, well, it's 500 gigaflops, so obviously it's around or weaker than the 360. I'm like, these are new shader cores. It ain't nothing like fucking 360. The CPU is significantly more powerful and more capable. And you're talking about hardware from 2006 with completely different software and completely different development environment and completely different engines that run on it. Not the same, my guy. Not the same. We can't sit there and take these numbers and assume they're the same. We can't. Not only is it different hardware, AMD versus NVIDIA, they're different types of shaders based on a completely different interpretation of what these shaders can do. Different types of multiply adds per block or what have you. And now all of a sudden we have Digital Foundry going back and telling you what I already told y'all asses back in 2013 when I first made my YouTube channel. All flops are not the same. Why the fuck are we comparing Wii U, 360, and PS3, PS4? Why are we doing that? The teraflops that you see in both of those systems are not the same in another. Not the same at all. Now, a developer can sit there and say, well, on paper, these kind of blah, 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 blah. Until they sit down with that SDK and they start working with it, they don't know what advantages are better on one system versus another. They don't. Sony and Microsoft built their systems a certain way. Obviously, Sony wanted you to use raw bandwidth using GDDR5 to build all your engines on, right? Obviously, Microsoft said, you know what? We got this DDR3 that's kind of slow, but we got this ESRAM that's really fucking fast. Use that for frame buffer, and you're good to go. Same with Nintendo and Wii U. They had the same thing with the eDRAM. 32 megs of eDRAM, you have more than enough for your frame buffer and it being really fucking fast. Now just use this 1 gig of DDR3 for the rest of your game and you're good. Like nobody is understanding that that's why these systems were built the way they were built, and you got developers out here shoehorning games into these systems and wondering why the performance is, for lack of a better word, shit. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on that. It's kind of funny that Digital Foundry finally came around to that. That all flops are not the same. That's just some funny shit. I uh I mentioned some other stuff earlier when I was talking about some of the stuff that happened in E3. Uh, I could go down the list here. I mean, No More Heroes 3. Do I even need to mention it? Like that's where I'm at right now. Trials of Mana. Since I've already played Seiken Densetsu 3, that's what Trials of Mana, I guess the U.S. name of it is. There's really no need for me like really getting excited about it, other than the fact that it's being remade in 3D. That'd be kind of cool, but like I've played that game before. It's awesome, obviously. Obviously, Witcher 3 being announced was fucking killer. What I thought was actually killer was Capcom coming through and saying RE5 and RE6 were coming to Switch with local and online co-op play, which is that shit's kind of telling with regards to the capabilities of the Switch's hardware at that point. To me, when I saw that and I'm like, oh, okay, oh y'all not fucking around, okay. Capcom actually wants some of this bread. We'll see. I mean, if y'all actually making an effort to do things like that on the system, okay, that's cool. So that kind of got me. That kind of got me to where I am right now with regards to Capcom. Even though I mean, my homeboy Mr. T, he's still like, man, they can eat 12 dicks. And I understand. That's cool. Um, y'all gotta stop with Nessa, man. Like that night, there was Rule 34 of her. Time she got announced, y'all Rule 34 on this chick. Like, why, man? I know y'all like black chicks, man, but y'all gotta cut that shit out, man. And nah, it's cool. Pokemon fans will do what they do. Astral Chain was off the fucking meat, right? Um, let's see. Dead by Daylight was interesting to see on Switch anyway. Um, Wolfenstein Youngblood. It's like Far Cry, whatever it was, Dragon-ish, I guess, 80s game, if you will. Super Lucky's Tale on Switch. That was interesting. And man, Breath of the Wild 2, man. Breath of the Wild 2. That was just, I did not see that coming. I knew that they were working on another Zelda game. I did not know that it's gonna be Breath of the Wild 2 though. That was interesting. Uh, Nintendo was great because there was no cringe bullshit in between announcements like it was for the other publishers, because they were like just like, hey, here's this blah 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 blah, here it is, and they sit there and wait for applause, and the people in front are like, oh shit, he's waiting for us, let's clap. Like that's just bad. Um, Nintendo was trolling like a motherfucker though. They were like, hey, you guys want Banjo Kazooie to come out? No, we're gonna fake like it's goddamn Duck Hunt and Dog or whatnot. And that was kind of cool how Nintendo fuck with people, but it is what it is. Uh, so Project Scorpio, right? So which one of these motherfuckers is gonna be more powerful? Because these motherfuckers lied and said that this thing is gonna be 4 times more capable than Xbox One X. So immediately I'm gonna go to floating point, right? And I'm thinking 4 times more. That's 24 teraflops, right? I post that up, and then your resident fucking dumbass that knows nothing about technology, Winter Sky Gamer, decides to say, "Oh, well, this asshole, he posts 24 teraflops. Four times doesn't mean teraflops. Like, in what way? They've been talking about teraflops all this time. So why would I not assume what they're saying? So you got Sony out here talking about, potentially 14 teraflops, or so goes the rumor. Mark Cerny never came across and said that shit, but they're going to have a significant amount of floating point performance in both of these machines. So it was just odd having Microsoft say the shit that they said. And obviously they're talking about Zen 2, so you're going to have a desktop CPU in your system? Or is this going to be the Zen 2 mobile or the Zen 2 embedded CPU and GPU combo that you're gonna have in here, and then have like an additional mobile GPU in addition to that, similar to how Xbox One and PS4 are. So you have the mobile or embedded CPU GPU combo, and then you have the dedicated GPU combo there on the same die, and then you know you attribute to that by putting a big fan on that shit so it don't overheat and go from there. But that was kind of some of the stuff over the days, if you will, that I had regarding that. But I found out some things over the weeks that were kind of interesting. So I did an investigation a few weeks back regarding Wii U, Wii, and GameCube, believe it or not. And it was regarding the CPU because it's always been shrouded in mystery, right? So I started looking up some developer stuff on it, and I came across the actual 50 plus SIMD instructions that were added to the Gecko processor, or the IBM 750 CXE. Everybody always said that these were just paired singles or one-to-one functions or whatever, instead of true alphabet. But in 2002, Peter Sandin, who was the engineer and designer of the PowerPC 970, the G5 that was in the Apple Power Mac G5 or whatever, that same engineer, he engineered the Gecko processor for the GameCube, right? So he said the instructions lack the Altivate name simply for contract reasons only. And IBM no longer partnered with Motorola, who owned the rights to Altivate, which was, so Nintendo's product fell in line with Altivate fading away from IBM. So they couldn't name it Altivate even if it was exactly the same. So he's saying that GameCube literally has Altivate, but legally can't be named that way because Motorola left the deal. So the Altivate engine is in the GameCube CPU. Now there are paired singles there, but apparently some of the FPU logic for floating point is Altivate. So this entire time we had a fucking server CPU inside the GameCube, Wii, and Wii U and didn't know it. Which is crazy because you're talking about a hybrid CPU that could switch between 32 and 64-bit address data at any point in time and send floats on the fly. That are clearly above what the CPU was designed for. So it was interesting to come across that type of stuff. And obviously in between now and then I did my response to Dreamcast guy for obvious reasons. Y'all saw what that was. That was all fucked up. I don't know what he was thinking. Anybody that followed what was going on with the PlayStation 5 and some of the rumors for the PlayStation 5, he was not there. So he was really fucking up. So I'm looking at the chat right now. Somebody asked me what the thoughts of the PlayStation 5 could be. The PlayStation 5 will be based on the Navi generation of GPUs. So we'll see the fake ray tracing that they're talking about or whatever. So it'll be a dedicated ray tracing unit, and what it's going to do is it's going, instead of doing a full scene of ray tracing, it's going to approximate what the output would be from a full scene, a full ray trace scene, and then give you those lighting values back that are actually going to be printed on the scene that you're currently looking at for the X and Y values that are currently going to be seen on screen. Actual ray tracing, as we know, means that the CPU and GPU are churning and they're looking at all the light values from all the rays being cast from the global light throughout the entire scene to approximate how light is going to bounce off. What NVIDIA and AMD are currently doing is pre-approximating based on values that they've determined already, based on some functions that they've embedded in the GPU itself to say, hey, these are always going to be your return values. So look at these return values and then approximate them based on what you currently see on this camera and only on this camera only, and generate on the fly go. And then you get kind of an approximate of what ray tracing would be, but it's not true ray tracing. True ray tracing is the shit that takes less than 9 frames per 30 minutes at a render farm. The type of shit that you saw, that you still see in Toy Story movies and other Pixar movies or whatever. They use render farms to do this type of ray tracing per frame throughout the day. It takes multiple days to come up with 30 plus frames of information, because there's so much being rendered throughout the scene, and every light value has to be calculated to be accurate. So what's going to end up happening is what they're selling you is basically an inaccurate version of ray tracing. And I hate to say that they're selling this to you as a buzzword, but they are. You'll get what looks like a ray trace value in the end product, but it's only an approximation. It's not the real ray trace value if light bounced through the entire scene. It's only an approximation based on, maybe the rest of this scene has no other geometry, so light is going to bounce infinitely and then come back in this way. That's what you're getting. You're not getting a full, these are all the different pieces of geometry that are in this scene, and this is how the light is going to bounce around, and this is how it's going to come back and bounce off this pixel of this character standing in this direction, and this is the shadow that accompanies it. That's not the way that it's going to work. So I figured that I get that out of the way too, and let you guys know what was happening there. And so what the other things was, I figured out what the amount of floating point performance the Switch had versus the PlayStation 4. And so yeah, I found out the amount of flops per cycle, which was around 4. And so doing that, well, even with Wii U, it had 4 flops per cycle or whatever, right? And with Switch, it has 16, so that puts you at around 128 gigaflops for the Switch CPU versus the PS4 CPU at their native clock rate, so 1 gigahertz and 1.6 or whatever PS4 is running. So it's kind of interesting when you start thinking of it that way. So Switch, 16 flops per cycle, and Wii U was only 4 flops per cycle. So it was woefully underperforming. I think it was around 16 to 20, depending on how the clock frequency was on Wii U with regards to the amount of G flops that processor can handle. But we all know that most of the floating point work is done on the GPU anyway, which is why Wii U, they promoted the fact that, hey, we have a GPU, so send the floats there, and then we go from there. So that was kind of the notes that I was going through before E3. And that's pretty much what I have right now, going up to right now. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on, and with regard to a lot of the games going forward that I'll start talking about. There's a lot of other games I'll probably be showing a lot more video for some other games going forward. I still have a comparison of all 3 versions of Breath of the Wild, be it the emulator, Wii U, and Switch version. I'll do a trifecta of those versions and compare frame rates and different scenes and stuff like that, and tell you why this game is CPU bound. I'll be doing that. I don't know how long that project is going to take, but I'll be doing enough raw video to show you guys that going forward. We're at about the 2.5 hour mark, I guess, at this point. Only like an hour and some change, but we're pretty deep into it. So I'll try to show you guys that footage, upload that footage as soon as I can of those frame rate changes. So just bear with me on that. ShadowCast is kind of hard to do. I try to get these done as much as I can going forward. It's just time, man, time. And I do other people's podcasts and stuff like that, but hopping on somebody else's podcast is significantly easier than starting your own and getting stuff set up and having chat going right and having a stream going right and all the other kind of fuckery that you have to deal with. So bear with me, you guys, as I try to transition this channel into something that is slightly worthwhile. I'm trying here. I'm trying to keep it going. But so I'm looking here in the chat here, talking about Digital Foundry. They are where they are. Talking about specs. Yeah, obviously, specs are literally only that. There's specifications. There's also speculation because we don't know what happens in real time or what happens under the hood until you try to code a game for it. Appreciate asking for the likes. Yeah, probably could use a couple likes out here. We can go from there. You said Resident Evil 5 and 6 was a low moment. Yeah, I get it. It wasn't like it was something extra like to play. To me, it represented a bit more effort for Capcom as far as them porting and taking advantage of how that system works. Doing local co-op and shit like that is something that Capcom would probably not sign off on if it came down to it. But since they understand that if you don't make a maximum effort on Switch, chances are motherfuckers won't buy the games anyway, even though it's a whole bunch of Switches out there. So they're trying. They're making an effort to say, hey, yeah, this port that we threw together, we added some stuff to it, so please buy it. So I get that. So yeah, I guess that makes a little bit of sense or whatever. Yeah, somebody said, the Xbox guy said 8K, 102. You know, there might be some 8K games. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point the Halo game will get support for 8K on the Xbox Anaconda or whatever they want to call it right now. It's got a million fucking code names. Yeah, said the only reason developers said Wii U was weak was because they said it was difficult to develop for. I mean, we had one guy like the developer for Orochi Warriors 3 Hyper. He said that the CPU was slow, and then in that same interview, he said, matter of fact, I don't think it was because it was slow. I think it was just because we don't understand how to use it, and we need to get more time using it before we can make games better on it. And then you had other open world games that clearly ran well on Wii U. So it obviously wasn't that. So it was just one of those things where people took a couple of quotes out of context and created their own story. Let's see here. Panic Button saying Switch has a bit more power available, but the engine they use cannot take advantage. Yeah, if you don't write code to take advantage of shit, like there's no power. You can't take advantage of the power, so who gives a shit? Baldur's Gate games coming to Switch. I don't know if that's the thing. I thought it was just PC. If they are coming to Switch, great, I guess. But I'm more I've already played the first two games on PC. Well, my Mac really. So I would continue to play them on PC in my opinion. So not really sure. I don't if Baldur's Gate was confirmed for Switch, I need a link for that. I don't remember reading about that, so I have to look that one up. That's new to me. Yeah, it's definitely new to me. So, but yeah, that's kind of gonna wrap it up for me. I just don't get why these guys try, man. They try too hard. Like I don't. Okay, so you said it has been confirmed it's coming to Switch. I mean, it works for me. That's interesting. That's more people can buy and can play it. But like I said, I'll play that game on Mac, man. So I'll probably just buy the Mac version and continue from there. And hopefully I can bring my saves over. That'd be great if I had the same character. I can bring my saves over. But like you could between the first two games, that was really cool. But no, that's kind of where I'm at on that. It'd be great It'd be great to see people being able to play that type of game on that platform. It'd be really good. Obviously Diablo's there and stuff like that too. So um, there's obviously some type of precedent for that. I just personally, I know I'd probably just be getting it for PC. Other people may get it on Switch, or people might buy both. Who knows? I bought Undertale twice. Like you guys may have seen me playing it on Switch online these past couple of days. I have it on Steam as well, but I'll play it on both. So just one of those things. So maybe there might be a scenario as well where people are gonna go back and forth and say, hey, you know what? I can play this version on the go. I play this one on my monitor or whatever, and then they go back and forth. They might have a different playthrough going on one system versus another, and that's not a bad thing either, depending on who's willing to pay for two versions of the game. But I know I can, so obviously other people can too. So that would be, I don't see that as being an issue. Um, but yeah, watch out for these fake tech heads, man. These motherfuckers out here. We got we got your boy out here talking about putting Big Ben out here talking about the Switch Mini and shit. Now all I did was just go to the page and I looked at the actual sources on the website, and none of that shit said Switch 2. They all said Switch Mini. So I don't know where your boy Dave was coming from with that shit, but he likes to draw his own conclusions. Like he's like, oh, well, I have this Switch Pro conclusion. Let me just throw some links at that shit and just say, hey, this is the next thing that proves the Switch Pro. And I'm like, you didn't even give that shit a cursory glance. Like, you didn't even look at the shit. And if you're gonna be a tech head, man, like, read HTML. Like, look at the site and see what's there. There's no Switch 2 anywhere on that motherfucker. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know why folks get like this, but I just feel that he has to because of whatever he's peddling, and to me, I just can't get down with it. I can't do it. I can't do it either. Either it's possible, it's not possible. Either it's rumored or it's not rumored. And while Wall Street Journal and Nikkei are quote unquote rumoring it, they aren't tech sites at all. They're investor sites. So I take that as you will. It's just interesting to me that we see this type of stuff and people just quick to jump on it and not follow up and not follow through. So you'll see a couple things for me. I'll probably be replacing the Joy-Con analog stick on a couple of my Joy-Cons here going forward. I may or may not record that depending on how I feel. I've already upgraded all my hardware here for recording videos, so you saw some of that maybe on Twitter. I was doing some stuff too. I had a Mac Mini over here, believe it or not. I'm processing 4K video with that thing, and then I've got a Mac Pro down here that I do the majority of my 1080p video with, and they both got upgraded this weekend, so just working on shit, man. And remember I said it's because the image said Switch Mini 2 at the bottom right. Yes, from that other site that put the watermark on it, but on the actual site itself is not there. And then if you go to the actual site and then you look at the name of the image, it does not say Switch Mini 2. It just says Switch Mini. So, and that's why I put that on there. I'm like, these guys, like, you're not even fucking trying, man. You're not trying. You're not trying at all. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it, man. And then you get hundreds of thousands of followers. Like, what the fuck? I don't get that at all. Like, and that's not hating per se. It's just like, how can you have this thick of a following with this much misinformation? I just don't get it. And of course, I'll never be on a Spawncast. I'll never be on a podcast with Super Metal Dave. That's never gonna happen. I sure as hell will never be on a podcast with Dreamcast Guy now. So it's not like you're gonna get somebody that's gonna be on a podcast that's gonna fucking check them. Like I said before, it's going to be an agreement accord, and it's going to be basically a bunch of people. They're going to be sycophanting each other. They're going to be like, oh, well, I think the Switch Pro is coming out. Oh, do you got? All right. Well, I've got several 100,000 subscribers too, so I'm just going to agree with you. And you have several 100,000 subscribers. Let's just agree with each other in a fucking circle jerk. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call you out on your shit. And I don't care if I only have 700 subs. I don't care if I have 100 subs. Like, no. Wrong is fucking wrong. Like, why are you saying that if you have nothing to to deliver you to that conclusion? You have your conclusion, and then you just throwing some shit at the wall, see if it sticks to match the conclusion that you want. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. You look at what you have first, and then you can arrive at a conclusion. I don't understand why people keep doing that shit, but it is what it is, man. I've drawn on with this, and I have really no help for individuals like that. It is what it is, man. You know, I'm just gonna call it a night. You guys, I appreciate y'all coming out, man. Fucking chat, y'all doing what y'all do. We'll get at these fucking takeheads these fake takeheads one way or the other. And as I always say, do you play games to have fun or to impress other people? I'm fucking out, man. Fuck y'all, man. Real talk. We can do any of these at any time. I'm here. I'm your Huckleberry. You want to debate? You know where to find me. Let's fucking go.